Hello and welcome to the AFL Auto Blends 3D car creation channel. This is an episode of my Your Car, and what Your Car means is that I tell stories of cars, and in this episode it's a good story in my opinion. I retired about a year now. Prior to that I was a building estimator for a large construction company. I've worked for a couple of companies in my time in 45 years, so not worked for lots of people, but worked for a couple of big construction companies. During that time, it was about 2 or 3 years ago, I was standing outside, gone out for a bit of fresh air, a bit of a break at coffee time. Sunny day, took a coffee out, and there was a guy out there having a smoking break sort of thing, and I knew him because we used to talk about football and stuff like that. And he was a young, in early 30s guy from South Africa, or as I thought. Anyway, this particular day he was talking because he did 3D work for buildings. So I was asking him questions because I was just getting into Blender then, about 3 years ago. So I was asking him questions about it, and he was quite surprised that I was doing this. And I told him I did cars. He says, "Oh, I'd like to see some of the cars you're doing." And he also said, "Would you consider, once you've learnt all this, modelling my grandfather's car?" So there I was thinking, what sort of cars he want me to model? Some sort of 1950s family English saloon car. So we kept on talking, and he then mentioned that his grandfather was a man called Leon Cushman. Now, I thought I've heard that name before, but I didn't know where, and this and that, the other. And it transpires that this guy was a Formula One racing car driver from the late 20s and through to the 30s. But his actual claim to fame was that he broke the, I think it's the Class H, which is 750 horsepower, 750 HP, and class of motor racing. Basically, he broke the 100 miles per hour speed record on that class, based in Brooklands Raceway in England. It's a famous old racing track. So I was a bit perplexed about this, saying, "Well, hang on a minute, you're South African." He said, "Well, no." He said, "Well, I've obviously got a lot of English heritage. My family moved over there. I don't know whether he was before he was born or after he was born, but his family lived over there anyway, and he moved to England not many years after I spoke to him, I don't think." And so that was quite... I sort of went home and did some research, and then realised that this guy, he'd broken his granddad had broken the speed record, 100 miles per hour, for that class of car in August 1931 at Brooklands, and he did it in a supercharged Austin 7. Anyway, I'll now show you the images of that when they load up. And it's a very interesting car. I mean, it's sort of a one-off. And to carry on with that story, I was watching an episode of What's in the Barn on TV, And then this episode was that very car, and here it is. So this is the Aston Martin. This is the Austin 7 supercharged car that broke the speed record that day. I mean, when you look at it, it's quite different to what you'd think an Austin 7 was. And I've got various images of this. This has obviously been restored, and I don't know if the one in America is the original. I've sort of reached out to it's at a museum called Wheels in Time. So I've reached out to that museum, but I haven't heard anything on that. But there it is again. Now this is the Class H record that it broken. So that's the 750cc, not HP. That was the prototype. And it was done in yellow, and they thought, well, hang on, this is not really a good colour to put on a racing track at that time. There is the aforesaid Leon Cushman in his car, looking very serious. There's some mechanics working on it, but it's interesting lines, and I will model this, but there's no blueprints or anything like that. This is just going to be a artistic impression. But I do intend to do that, because I did promise this chap that I'd do that. So there it is, actually on Brooklands Raceway. Again on Brooklands Raceway. So it's sort of a very interesting car. So I've got a few sort of images that I've collected. Not many at the moment. I'm still doing quite a bit of research on it. But there's the engine and the supercharger, you can see clearly. So there's a cross section of the engine. So there's a bit to work on. I've also got, what else have I got? I've also got a few images here. This is not of that particular car, but it gives me a good idea what an Austin 7 racer was without all the speed record stuff on it. And also a bit of an idea of the chassis of a basic one, bit of an idea of the interior, the cockpit area. I mean, that's a good image. And strangely, this is the transporter that it was carried in back in them days. I suppose this was an old caravan which was converted into a thing with a model, some sort of Model Ford there by the looks of it, as the tow truck. So all very interesting. So look for this in the future. It's probably going to be 3 or 4 months time before I start this, but I thought I'd share that story on my channel. Before I go, you probably saw this in the background. I've been following a tutorial from or by Rod Halligan, and it was on YouTube. You just search for Rod Halligan. He's got some fantastic models that he's doing. Wealth of experience, this chap. He's done modelling for 30 odd years, I think. So I'm very much an amateur compared to him. But this is where I've got on this. So I've got all the essential cutouts done. Got the bulge in the bonnet done. I've got the windows, the rubbers and chrome strips around the window. And I've also done the back window. I've cut out the boot. So I've cut out the boot. That's where I am at the moment. These scoops were very awkward to do, but in my modelling, as you probably realise if you watched me before, that I use extensively guide mesh. So I use the shrink wrapping add-on and create guide mesh, and then I can cut holes out without it affecting the topology. Anyway, so that's where I am with this one. Thank you for watching. Whilst you're on, I'm also going to do tomorrow, I'm going to do another series of videos, and it's going to be basically my 3 cars of the week, mainly 3 cars that I've spotted that I'd like to model. So I'm going to do a sort of a history on here, so that if I forget what I was going to model and haven't written it down anywhere, I can pick it up and look at the video again and see that there are some interesting cars come up. I've recently joined a historic racing car group on Facebook, and there's some absolutely brilliant cars coming out of that, so I thought I'd write them down, do a bit of research, and then post them on here. But anyway, that's a short video telling you a story. Okay, thanks for watching. Bye.